Controversy surrounding the Masowe Church in Zimbabwe. Recently, the Masowe Church in Zimbabwe has found itself at the center of a heated controversy that you will see in the video to follow. Traditionally known for its spiritual and solemn worship practices, the church has recently been observed engaging in activities that have left many questioning its credibility and spiritual integrity. Notably, members of the Masowe Church have been seen dancing to local non-church music and sometimes partnering with the government in ways that seem incongruent with their religious doctrine. This shift has prompted a profound discussion about whether these changes represent a departure from the church's core values and whether God is truly present in these new practices. One of the most significant changes observed within the Masowe Church is the incorporation of local music that is not traditionally associated with church services. This local music, often vibrant and energetic, contrasts sharply with the church's historically more reserved and contemplative worship style. While music has always been a vital component of spiritual expression, the inclusion of secular tunes has raised eyebrows. For many, the church is a place where the sacred is preserved, a sanctuary from the secular world. When the boundary between secular entertainment and religious worship blurs, it raises serious concerns about the church's commitment to its spiritual mission. The credibility of the Masowe Church is now being called into question. Members and observers alike are worried that the church is straying from its foundational principles. The introduction of non-church music into religious ceremonies can be seen as a dilution of the sacredness that the church is meant to uphold. For many congregants, the church is a sacred space where one can connect with the divine, free from the distractions and influences of the secular world. The recent changes have led some to fear that the church is compromising its spiritual integrity in favor of contemporary cultural trends. Adding to the controversy is the church's recent partnerships with the government. While cooperation between religious institutions and the state is not inherently problematic, it becomes concerning when such partnerships appear to influence the church's practices and priorities. There is a growing perception that the Masowe Church might be sacrificing its spiritual principles for political or financial gain. This perception undermines the trust and faith of its congregants, who may feel that the church is being co-opted by external interests. Perhaps the most visible and contentious issue is the manner in which church members are now dancing. Observers have noted that the style of dancing closely resembles that found in nightclubs, characterized by energetic and sometimes provocative movements. For many traditionalists within the church, this style of dancing is highly inappropriate for a religious setting. The church has long been a place of solemn worship, and the introduction of nightclub-style dancing is seen as a stark departure from its spiritual roots. This has led to widespread discomfort and disbelief among those who fear that such behavior is not representative of the true spirit of Masowe worship. A fundamental question that arises from these developments is whether the current practices of the Masowe Church are in alignment with the will of God. For believers, this is a deeply personal and theological issue. Traditionalists argue that the incorporation of secular music and nightclub-style dancing is a deviation from the divine path and could lead the faithful astray. They advocate for a return to the more solemn and sacred practices that have defined the church for generations. The question of whether God is present in these new practices is one that each member of the faith must grapple with personally. The changes within the Masowe Church in Zimbabwe have sparked a necessary and intense debate about the direction and integrity of religious practices in the modern world. While some may argue that adapting to contemporary cultural trends can make the church more accessible and relatable, others see it as a dangerous erosion of sacred traditions. The future of the Masowe Church will likely depend on its ability to balance tradition with modernity while maintaining its spiritual and moral foundations. Ultimately, the question of whether God is present in these new practices is one that each member of the faith must consider deeply. The church must navigate these changes carefully to ensure that it remains a true sanctuary for its followers, preserving the sacred amidst the secular.